Hello and welcome to This Car Pod.
I'm Kennan.
I'm Filippo.
And it's time for the news. Let's start with Dodge.
Yeah, Dodge's CEO said in an interview last week that he thought there was a market for an entry-level sub-30K-ish sports car. He also said there was a market for a high-end sports car by Dodge.
Right.
Which,
we all could understand what that would be.
yeah, but
V10.
cheap Dodge sports car.
Yeah, I was surprised to see this. It wasn't like a publicly announced thing.
No.
It was in an interview and he was like, oh, I can see a market for it. I can't. I think that Stellantis, though, is in a situation where they're kind of out from under old leadership and new leadership is trying to either win back old people or make a wave, make a splash.
You know how a kid home alone for the first time just eats ice cream? the boring accountant parents are gone. And
Parents
what do
are
you do?
gone.
You want V8s again, and you want
And last
sports
week we
cars.
reported that they said V8s are coming back, and today we're reporting this.
There is a market.
By the way, this is a concept car from Dodge, 2007 Dodge Demon. I think this could come today. And you know who would buy it? No one.
There's kind of a market, right?
not.
Like Mazda has created a market.
But the Miata has 35 years of reputation. It has tremendous dynamics, which I'm not sure Chrysler. And even then, the Miata sales are not what they used to be.
True.
And this current generation Miata has been on sale for 10 years.
Excellent point.
Without a redesign because it's probably not cost effective to redesign.
Excellent
Every
point.
other sports car that comes out is paired up. Yeah. You know, the BRZ and the FRS and the et cetera, the Supra and the Z4.
And the next Supra will apparently be a collaboration with Mazda, apparently.
Ooh.
Or something of
They
that
should
sort.
call Dodge. I hear Dodge is looking for a
They
partner.
should call Dodge. I get why they're saying some of these things, right? If you're the CEO, like you want to rebuild your brand with enthusiasts, especially because those are the publications that are covering you as a brand that only sells Chargers. And so you want to kind of throw them a bone here and there. I also see why it could be successful, not in sales, but in imaging.
Right.
Maybe. But like, who buys that?
It won't. That's the thing. It just wouldn't.
Who want the Solstice and the Sky didn't sell well?
No.
I want Dodge to build one sports car, and you alluded to it before. It has a V10 and a manual, and it's named after another snake. That's what I want them to build.
They tried, and they tried. They had that car, and then they canceled it, and then they brought it back, and that second time they tried
Still
to bring it didn't do well.
Yeah.
And so I have a hard time believing, honestly, in this day and age, that like a sports car at this price point is like really a big. I would like it to be. It'd be cool. I don't see the FRS as like a massive seller, whatever it's called now.
You know what it sounds like to me? A great used car. That's what it sounds like. It doesn't sound like something that enthusiasts will want to buy new necessarily.
Well, at that price point, I think it would, but I honestly have a hard time believing they could really actually hit that price point and still be profitable and still sell in any sort of volume. I mean, this is a company that's not exactly doing the best.
Remember the Crossfire? We have a Crossfire parked behind this X3.
Yeah, the Crossfire was relatively successful. The price point was considerably
relatively
high.
successful.
They sold. They
sold few.
No, they sold a ton. I wrote it down. They sold like 100,000 or 200,000.
All right, well,
remember, it
never
was a
mind.
global car.
What?
They sold them in Europe.
Every single part of this
counting
sentence
SLK
has
production
gotten
in
more
there?
insane.
No, they sold the Crossfire globally. It was a global car. They were sold in Europe and everywhere.
So could this then?
76,000 Crossfires
Over
were
a
manufactured.
decade?
Over 5 years.
Wow.
Pretty good.
So maybe there is a market.
There are right-hand drive Crossfires.
Some would argue that
Real-
what
imagine
Dodge
that.
should
There are
build.
right-hand drive SRT6 Crossfires,
Oh, wow.
but only 284 of them.
Some would argue that Dodge should build, I don't know, any cars? Any
Yeah.
SUVs? Anything?
Would make more sense to platform share and try to figure out better ways to do this. And
I'll take those.
Maybe even merge with Mercedes-Benz. Okay, give us our next news. Anyway, this is possibility. We'll see what happens. I have a hard time believing it will.
That's great line.
As do I.
Excellent.
Next story, Camaro, Chevy Camaro.
An
GM
affordable
Authority,
small car,
GM Authority, which is an authority on GM products,
as it were.
reported, and I was reading between the lines on their reporting. The reporting is that the next generation Camaro is badly beaten but not dead. However, when I read the quotes in the article, it sounds like it's dead. Their contract with the factory workers requires them to build a car in Canada. It doesn't sound like it's gonna. They see a business case for the next generation. They have said that this generation. They have either said or leaked that this generation hasn't necessarily sold like they were hoping it would. We already are hearing Mustang sales are not really great. We heard yesterday Z sales are not really great. And amazing Dodge is sitting here going, yeah,
Right.
maybe we'll do 2 sports cars.
Once again, FCA, maybe not the best business decisions.
It's a shame. It'd be a shame if it goes away. The Mustang became an electric crossover. Perhaps the Camaro will meet a similar fate.
Would it be a shame if it left?
Maybe not. I mean, the Camaro they've given us a great run with the current
good
Camaro,
car.
which has been redesigned, but the same basic shape since it came out in 09. And that was a great period. Like 09 to now has been several amazing Camaro models, some amazing high performance versions, fantastic powertrains.
Z01 1LE is one of the most impressive cars.
There have been some great cars to come out of this Camaro lineup, and if the market doesn't want it right now, maybe it goes away and maybe it comes back at some point in the future like the Z always did. Be sad, but it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Are we worried about what's going to happen to the enthusiast class at Hertz or at Enterprise or at any rental car center? Because right now it's Mustangs and Camaros exclusively.
What is the problem?
What do they go to?
Mach-E. Still a Mustang. Sir, you get a Mustang.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
You love that. You love leaning into that Mustang Mach-E controversy.
Maybe they'll rent out Dodge's $30,000 enthusiast car.
No.
Right. That's what it would be. Anyway, so we'll see on next gen Camaro, but I am not holding my breath on sports cars. It's actually funny because in the last couple pods, we've talked about how the EV is kind of not really as certain as it once was, and gas cars are making a comeback, and V8s are making a comeback.
But the gas cars that are sticking around aren't the ones we necessarily want.
No.
That's an interesting predicament.
The second gen Camaro came out in 15.
Yeah, but the redesigned retro one came out in 09. But that's what I was saying.
10 years.
Yeah, they got a long
Maybe
life out
it's
of
a
it.
little dated, but
No,
I don't think a redesign would help.
It's definitely time to think about the next thing, although the Challenger did well and it came out in 08. Here's a question. Why did they never do a convertible Challenger?
I don't know. I've seen the conversions and they look
The conversions
They look
look
good.
They did convertibles back in the day. It was obvious. Ford and Chevy both had convertibles of their cars. The car then was in production for 16 years. It's not like they couldn't have made the money.
You know why? Because it's a purest precision.
They didn't want the extra weight.
No,
Yeah,
the weight
no.
and the rigidity issue.
No, that's right. Yeah, structural rigidity.
All right, give us the next news story, please. Ooh, Volkswagen.
Yes. So Volkswagen and Audi both have said that, like a lot of manufacturers we've discussed recently, they are going to be sticking with gasoline-powered cars, Kel Supres.
But what does that mean?
It means that they will be doing EVs, but they're kind of pushing a lot of that development down the road to release those models. They saw sales decreases of Volkswagen saw sales decreases of 2.7% last year. Audi was even more sharp. They declined by 7.8%. So they're feeling it too, that people just aren't buying their electric cars.
Remember when the federal government, as a penalty, made Volkswagen make electric cars?
Yes.
Yep. And electrify America.
Mind the turntables.
Because they killed people. And then the government said, all right, you got to make electric cars now.
But sort of to work.
That's how I remember it.
That's pretty much how it went. But to get around basically what they're doing is they're going to be investing more money into facelifts of current models that exist. They're not going to be developing new internal combustion models necessarily, but they're going to kind of push this down the road a little bit and see what happens.
It sounds like more of a wait and see plan than a we're sure of what's going to happen.
And I think that
that's probably the right idea.
I think that is the right idea, I suspect, because Lamborghini pushed it. They said they pushed it down the road, but they did push it down the road. They know that's where it's going, but I think,
and we all know that's coming. This is an ID3.
Yeah.
What a cool car.
Here's the thing. Driving
cool.
around Europe last summer, you see trillions of ID3s, some ID4s, a bunch of ID buzzes, short ones, all with German plates. But nevertheless, they've had success. This is a case where Europe, which is where they're based, has adopted these cars pretty nicely, but nowhere else has. And in the US, they only sell the ID4 and ID Buzz. They said they're not bringing the ID7 here.
Asia doesn't buy these? Or not Volkswagen?
Maybe through some joint partnership.
I got to tell you, one of the comments we always get incredibly nasty comments whenever we talk about electric cars don't they get that electric cars they suck and we want gas?
Nah.
Let the economy sort it out. Let capitalism sort it out is what they often say. If capitalism were to sort this out, China would win. China would just straight win. If we want China to win, then we go have China win. I mean, that's how we want it to be. I don't know. In my America, we try to win. I'm serious. I'm not trying to be Trump, but in my America, we win. And
in my America,
the America that I've known and that I've seen over the last 200 years, you try to win. You try to be at the forefront of technology and everything else.
Man, 200 years? Christ, you look good for 200 years.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. But the point I'm making is if we let capitalism sort this out, China wins this game. Mm-hmm. All these automakers, and by the way, isn't ID4 built in the States, right?
The ID4 is built in the
All these automakers are pulling back on these EVs. If that's the way we want to go, then that's the way we want to go. But the Chinese EVs, I've driven them. They're way ahead. They're way ahead and they're way cheaper. And China's going to walk around and start selling these cars in the other markets and start gobbling up market share in all those places too. And pretty soon our auto industry is going to be Ford selling cars to Americans.
Can we talk about how beautiful this photo is? There's two ID3s.
You're not going to take this.
There are no other electric cars in in this shot.
politics. He's afraid of the
There's no other
always-
electric cars in this shot whatsoever, except for these two, which is fascinating.
People just further distance.
They're going to go from an EA 888 to an EA4 quadruple 8 to just keep going with their engine naming structure.
That's all he wants to do.
That's all I want to talk about.
I'm not
a
wrong
Volkswagen
about
guy now.
this.
No, you're not wrong about this.
Come on, admit that there's an interesting story there, which is that if we continue to pull back on EVs, which is what's happening, and if we don't incentivize EVs, which might be the right move, it's certainly what the consumers seem to want right now. But if we do that, China is not in that situation, and they are making these cars better and selling them better. And every week we report on a new automaker that is pushing back their EV.
I think the other thing that often gets missed in this is that we have, over the years, the US and Europe and other countries have heavily incentivized a lot of different things that we have kind of forgotten. The reason that diesels were so big in Europe is that diesel was heavily subsidized or incentivized, right? There were incentives to manufacturers building them. Diesel was a little bit subsidized by the US government or by the European
But for many years, those were successful products that European companies built.
But with some benefits. And when they were first starting, I'm quite confident the US government subsidized cars by building highways. There's like a lot of things where we kind of accept it in retrospect, where now we're having that conversation with EVs and looking back at it, will we think, if we keep going down that road of subsidizing them, I think we'll just view that as normal, because it kind of is in the bigger scheme.
Right.
It's an interesting question.
But if we don't, then EVs will probably walk away because Americans are not particularly interested in them without subsidies. And then
Maybe.
And then
technology advances.
You go to Mexico, you go to Latin America, the Chinese cars are already there. They're already selling them there. They're going to continue to. You go to Southern Europe, they're already there.
Technology advances, though, on electric motors, on batteries, and that will also make an impact.
Yeah, but the question is, will when we eventually adopt it, when we have to, will China have already succeeded? Do you know what I'm saying?
And they will have charging stations and better technology. Right. And yes, 100%.
And that's the fear. That's the fear with walking this back. That's the fear with the government walking it back. And that's why we can't just necessarily just let capitalism sort it out when we have the conversation. Because capitalism may sort it out in a way that is not favorable for us. And our government has this isn't pure capitalism. Our government has the ability to kind of put their finger on the scales of what actually
This is not where I thought this conversation would go.
I'm surprised to hear myself saying this too, but I've been thinking about this more and more over the last few weeks. And when you hear about when I drive these Chinese cars, I'm astonished. They shouldn't have sent them to us. Now we know how good they are. Now we're like, crap, we got to catch up.
Maybe they're going. Yeah. I mean, Ford CEO a few months ago had an interview where he said that he drove the Xiaomi SU7.
He's been driving it around.
And he's like, this is better than what we're building.
Yeah. That's interesting. You know how Mercedes Gullwings or Porsche 959s have typically always been valuable and will continue to go up in value? It's kind of similar to gold, which is why we've partnered with a company called Acre Gold. Financial experts and big banks agree the value of gold is climbing to new heights in 2025 and beyond. So how do you get in? Buying gold can feel complicated and expensive, but Acre Gold subscriptions make it easy and affordable. With subscriptions from $30 to $250 per month, Acre Gold makes gold ownership a reality for every budget. How does it work? Well, make automatic monthly payments into your stash until you reach the price of an Acre Gold bar. Once you pay for your bar, Acre Gold discreetly ships it to your door. Markets go up and down, but gold has stood the test of time. It's real, it's solid, and now it's easier than ever to own. Secure your wealth and take control of your future. Start today at getacregold.com. Fine, move on to the next news story, but understand my warning, folks. Oh, that's speaking of electric cars.
Yeah, nice transition there, very smooth. Speaking of EVs, this is the BMW Neue Klasse EV or EV. What's interesting about this is that there is
Is it the trunk lid? Because
there's a video that now
it's got a horn.
They proposed this shape earlier.
Yeah,
this is not the first time we've seen it, but now it moves. It has actual engineering that has been done to make it a functional car.
Congratulations. A car shown by a real manufacturer eventually gets built.
Maybe not, but the thing is, people are saying that this will become the new M3. That's what a lot of people are saying. That's what the rumors are heavily circulating. But there is a video that came out of it driving, which you get to see these wheels in action, which are very cool. They put a lot of effort into the regenerative braking.
Oh, wow.
It's a lot smoother, and it's something. But the big thing was they made the wheels light up, which is
I got to be
ridiculous.
Honest. I had the new M5 last week, and people complain so much. BMW has embraced technology more than any other legacy automaker. It's so amazing. They've got everything tech. The climate vents, in order to make them a full blow or not blow, you have little screens that you tap. Mm-hmm. Each van has a screen.
Right.
And people look at BMW like that, enthusiasts, the people who have E90s are like, for BMW, screw those.
People that have tried to tell their mother how to open a
Fine.
vent.
But
look
what
at them like
BMW
that.
is saying is our customer base has always been young people who get it, and it still is.
That's why they went for headlights that look like a Kia Optima from 2 generations
Well,
ago.
our producer said this, and I kind of
kidding.
agree. Which is more annoying, this or a Burbleton? I'd way rather have this than a Burbleton.
The wheels
I
are
think.
bad, but like maybe this is the future. I don't know. But I know BMW is leading us there. We got a new X3 behind us right now. That's leading us into the future.
But
I just took that to the DMV, and let me tell you something. It looked like the future in that parking lot.
Yeah.
A lot of Honda Odysseys with 3-year-old expired plates up there.
Well, they're the
Body
DMV,
damage.
luckily.
Heavy body damage.
once had to take my 355 to that DMV to register.
The one in Claremont?
Yeah. Boy, was it! It was quite a sight there. There were a lot of people very interested in
I
that.
bet some cool stuff shows up at the DMV if you like waited long enough.
I'm sure,
Right
but-
now, when you see a grill lit up at night,
Yeah.
as the current BMWs do, as every Mercedes seems to now with the star.
Yeah.
As I saw like a Lexus have yesterday.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I go "Oof," every time. Like
And
that.
when you
That's
see
fun.
a wheel like that driving around, what do you
I
say?
think that they're making fun of their customers. It seems like they're making fun of their customers. It seems like, oh, you're a lease shopper who's trying to, oh, yeah, well, how about this for you? How about this little carnival
But, you know,
ride?
people thought that. You remember when Audi did the headlights, like on the R8? They thought that was tacky.
And you're right.
No, I don't think anybody ever thought that was
People thought that.
Regardless, this
E39, same thing. But this is
Objectively.
a bit much for me to start.
it won't come to production, of course.
Give
for
us
the
our
time.
last news story.
Really, not a
please.
production car. You don't
wheels.
think this aspect of a
wheels.
production car? Will
The US won't allow laser headlights. You think they're going to start
Dude.
allowing wheel lights?
I don't think they have any dictation on that.
No,
wheel
the
probably
U.S.
later.
allows laser headlights. They don't allow the auto high beams. They have to either be on or off. They can't
Do they
choose.
allow laser headlights now?
Yeah, there were BMWs with laser headlights, but they stopped offering it because they decided it wasn't cost effective.
Because you can't do the cool things.
Well, you can do the cool things, but it's more expensive and it doesn't really benefit. What the U.S. doesn't allow, the greatest feature I ever seen in my life, I drove a Mercedes in Italy like this. You get the high beams on.
Yeah.
It turns on the high beams, but then a car is coming, and instead of turning them off,
It turns off
blocks
those.
out the high beams
Yeah.
only where
It's
that
brilliant.
car is in the beam sweep.
Yep.
So you still get the full effect of the high beams, but the driver
It's
coming toward you
brilliant.
isn't. It's incredible. It's obviously safer, but our regulations are far behind.
Yep.
Disappointingly.
Do you want to
Thankfully,
dive
we-
into that political point that he's making there? Everything's fine.
We gotta delete. Right? What does Trump say about regular? I don't know. We gotta. This though, I think is gonna come.
I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest with you. But to be clear, there's a lot more to it than this. They've done a lot of work in terms of the real engineering. There's a lot of this car creates an incredible amount of downforce. It's 2,645 pounds of downforce.
How?
That's different.
Gonna say
The
it.
pounds of downforce?
Yeah.
Maybe
How
that's
much
why
is
it has
the
the
force that's
horn
applied- yeah.
on the
I
back.
understand what
That is
take
why
care
it
of.
has that, which also has a lot of vents through it and stuff.
Ooh,
It's
also
pretty.
Why do they
Lancer-
have four
It also
people
makes
in
an
this car?
sorry.
Why do they have four people in this car?
Also,
Because
why do
it's
they
a
use Lancer
four-seater
even
car. It's
still?
four
We're
doors.
trying to show that off.
Yes, right. Yes, you see, we put 4 people in it in the Neue Klasse. It's a very impressive car. It makes 13,000 foot-pounds of torque. They did claim that, by the way. They said 18,000 Newton meters of what to put to the road, which we looked into. That's some gearing technicality, whether they say it's 18,000
They like
Newton meters.
multiply the gear of the electric motors by the. I don't remember.
And like the number of wheels, maybe, because if
Right.
each wheel has a motor.
Because I'll tell you what, that equates to 13,276 foot-pounds of torque.
Sure.
Doesn't seem realistic to me. But nonetheless, if this does become what the M3 will be,
Great.
I still don't know because BMW did say they want to make 6 cylinders and 8-cylinder engines still. So
Who
knows?
knows? Be
This
an
might be
M3, but an electric version of an
IM3,
IM3, something like that.
i3M,
Yeah,
i3M
it's
maybe.
something like that. I think it looks cool, and they
I'm
keep showing
into
it to us, so they're going to do it.
Yeah, I'm kind of into it, to be honest. Just the wheels are a bit much.
I3M.
Give us the
i3M? i3M?
As he works this out, give us the next news story. Ah, yes, Yugo. Here's some very excited people around a Yugo.
I go?
Because
No.
everybody needs a Yugo.
Yugo,
sometimes.
noted Eastern European car company that failed, is apparently going to come back and build a new car. That was the report this week. We looked into it, and it seemed like a guy drew one.
A guy from Serbia, I believe, drew one. It looks great. It looks like a combination like a GTI and an Ioniq 5 and a old Yugo. It looks
No real production plans.
the description was such a dude got an interview and said, I want to do these things.
I want to draw,
I'm
draw a Yugo for you. It's a new car now.
Right.
That feels
Headline
great.
is Yugo is coming back. Reality is man draws car on paper, wishes he had a factory.
Although apparently they're going to do a
and
tour.
engineering.
Yeah, they're going to do a tour of the world in the old Yugos to somehow advertise the new Yugo.
I saw that.
Exist.
Good luck. All right, let's move on to our Talk Cars segment, which of course is sponsored by Filippo.
Of course, personally.
Filippo, an employee of Cars
Filippo,
and Biz.
avoiding politics at all costs.
Okay, let's talk about the Lake Tahoe Sterrato. Can you pull it up, please?
Yes,
You know what I'm talking about, right?
I do.
This week, every person that I've ever met sent me a picture of this. There was a Lamborghini Sterrato in Lake Tahoe. Go to images. Let's pull. Oh, there it is.
There it is.
There she blows. There was some guy got a bad photo of a Sterrato that had clearly slid off in Lake Tahoe. I don't even know that it's stuck, but that was the implication.
Yes.
And everybody posted it everywhere, and it was a big deal. And I got sent this picture by everybody being like, I can't believe people are taking a Lambo to Lake Tahoe. And I had to be like,
Folks,
folks,
that's what it's for.
this is a off-road car. And you know what happened every time? I literally 10 people who I barely speak to in my entire 10 people sent me this.
Really?
Said this. I replied and was like, that's an off-road version. And like 9 of them didn't reply after that. They were like, they must have been like, he's clearly an idiot. Like it's not an off-road car. But it is, people.
Meanwhile, no, you're the idiot. Well, so my friend,
This is great.
My friend Ben, who lives in New Hampshire, sent me a picture of a Sterrato in the snow, and this came out the next day. And went, "That's nothing. Look at this."
The Sterrato can handle this.
It can
In
take
fact,
it.
I'm not even entirely convinced that it's stuck here.
Nah, it's
the
purposeful
implication was that it was stuck, and it might be, but there's also a Crosstrek sitting in front of it that's off the road.
And an 18-wheeler.
That's more likely to get stuck.
I
Crosstrek.
think it'll be fun.
My point is, the Sterrato is built for this.
More built for it than a LMO2.
But it is hard to explain this to regular people. People see an orange Lambo, and the Sterrato is such a weird
That's
car.
why it's cool.
That's why it's cool.
the cool hurricane.
No, I've got a Lambo, but it's for off-roading. What do you mean?
For off-roading,
What are you
yeah.
talking about? What do you mean for off-roading? It's got 7 inches of
You don't know
ground
the
clearance. What do you got? Personally, 0. You walk right on the ground.
That is 2 inches more-ish than my station wagon has. But
Is that true? Think about that.
5 point something, 5.4. But less than an Outback by like an inch or two.
The point is,
So
this poor Sterrato is now shamed everywhere, even though I would
it's
have
what it's
taken.
for.
I would have taken my Sterrato to I probably would have put chains on it or true winter tires. Maybe it has them.
Well, chains. Do you think they have like a rating for chains for how fast you can go?
There are
8
parts of
miles
Lake
an hour?
Are where they require chains.
Yeah.
Oh, because studs, it can't have studs.
You could probably do if you had metal studs, they'd probably allow that. Maybe winter tires, but there are snowy roads in Lake Tahoe where we still to this day require chains.
Yep.
I would put
Yeah, of course
let's
I'd
run
put
chains on them.
Sterrato.
No big deal.
Chain
That
up.
looks so cool in the snow. Imagine driving that around.
Man, but also kudos to this person for actually using it. I feel bad they have to suffer the embarrassment of seemingly being stuck and all over the internet. But good for them for actually driving this thing in the
I'm
snow.
so sad that they got shamed when
Yeah.
they did what they were supposed to.
Honestly, screw it. You got stuck. Fine. Get out of it. Keep going. That's what it's for.
It's a light
Tahoe.
car they can push.
Yeah. It is a light
Interesting.
car. That's right.
Okay, give us our next Talk Cars segment, Filippo.
All right. A few weeks ago, a month ago,
Yep.
my station wagon got hit while it was parked outside my house.
Okay, and I see. Okay, I'm worried about where this is going to go.
It got fixed at a good body shop. They've been generally good.
Generally good.
I went to pick it up. My wife offered to go pick it up. I was like, no, I have a feeling I'm going to be a little pickier than you are. And there are a few things that I'm not happy with that they're very kindly going to fix.
There's a color match issue.
No, the color match is actually okay. But there's a few finishing things where I'm just unhappy
There's
with how
some
it
trim.
looks.
There's some panels that didn't.
Some
line up.
trims. There's like a body, like a side skirt that got broken in the process that they're going to
Filippo,
replace and fix.
this car's been hit multiple times
car's been hit
under your ownership. and
Twice ever. Both of them are my ownership, yes. And it's worth maybe $15,000.
Right. What do you? But like,
Every day he turns more into me.
what are you
that's
picky
the
about?
debate.
Tell us specifically.
That's the debate. Like,
What is specific? Do you have pictures?
I don't have pictures with me.
Ah.
There's a side skirt that got broken in the process. There's a few spots where the bumper, like they need to like redo the liner to actually hook it up correctly. It's a little bit mismounted. All things that don't really matter on a 115,000 mile, $15,000 car that gets
Yep.
driven every day.
Right.
At the same time, here are components that were all replaced and repainted by a very professional body shop. And so my expectations are high-ish because they're doing the work that they should do it well.
I don't disagree.
Are my standards unreasonable?
No, but
But like a little bit.
when it comes to
I
cars
said
that
20
age, like what do you? Now it's gone again. You got another 2 weeks.
No, I mean, they're going to do it all in one day, a couple weeks.
Sure. A couple more weeks.
But and I will say, I want to be very clear. It was quite a nice conversation where I said, hey, like, I know that these don't really matter, but what can we do? And they were
So
quite kind of
let me ask you a question. Now, it's been gone for a while.
Yeah.
Does that mean you're thinking of maybe it permanently being gone out of your life for a while?
We were driving it all week because I have family visiting, and we were going 6 people in the car because it's made for that. It's got 7 seats, 7 seat belts.
You're where rental cars exist.
And I like the wagon, but yeah, it's the more I drive our GTI, which is basically a new car, the more it becomes very evident that station wagon is 11 years old and has done 150,000 miles.
Yeah.
And so now, yeah.
You're thinking about a newer body. You're thinking about mine. You want me to sell you mine?
I can't afford that.
What do you mean? The 17s aren't that expensive.
I don't want. That's not.
You only want an all-terrain.
I kind of do prefer the all-terrain. I don't know. I don't know.
They got him.
I can't justify a different car, but I'm thinking about it because it's feeling more worn.
It is. It is. These cars start to get old. They start to feel old, and that's just.
But like, should I still be picky about bodywork on a car where nobody will ever care because it's worth nothing?
I would be
be picky.
Well, obviously, but I would. You're right. That like the job should be done well. If again, no offense, but even you looked at it and you're like, this is not right. It must be pretty
I've gotten
bad.
One of the downsides of working at Cars and Bids for the last 4.5 years is that you get really good at pointing at flaws.
Yep.
You get quite good at looking at a photo and being like, that doesn't match or this looks wrong. And unfortunately, I've internalized those skills.
Yes.
You wouldn't care about any of this.
I wouldn't care, especially on a car like that. In fact, the benefit of a car like that is that you can not.
But like, it just got fixed.
That car's worth 12, and you're gonna.
No, it's worth 15 to 17.
Okay, we were 12 in 6 weeks. You can. The fun of that car is that you can drive it and really not worry that much about it.
That's how I work. That's how I treat all my cars.
Damaged on his terms. He also wasn't involved with either of these incidents that happened. Just saying. But you are. Yeah. I understand what you're saying.
It got fixed.
I don't think it's unreasonable, but like, it should probably go.
Well, I don't know that it should go. I disagree with that. I think the car has an enormous amount of utility. A $15,000 car that is practical and runs and drives, and that's a car you keep. The depreciation curve is really minimal. It's a reliable car. You put a lot of money into it. It's safe. Just have it and use it.
Yeah,
I did notice you drove your Abarth here today, though, which is interesting to me because you have... Yeah, you have that car. You have your new GTI. I thought we were selling the Abarth.
The Abarth is going to be sold soon.
Okay, next topic. Go to the site real quick. I want to talk about a car that neither of you have ever heard of. Type in A8. You ever heard of the Audi A8?
I have. Every generation.
Check out this one. Click on that. You know what's special about this one? Take a look.
It seems like a nice one. It's been one owner for the last 26 years. See if you can decide what's
special about this one.
One owner for the last 26 years.
When the D2 Audi A8 came out in 1997, it was offered in 2 versions. There was the 4.2 Quattro.
That we all know.
And there was a 3.7 front-wheel drive.
What?
This is a front-wheel drive Audi A8 from an early model year.
What?
First model. What? Now, the 3.7 you never saw. And this one's in New York. You especially never saw them in the Northeast.
Why would you buy one?
When I was a kid in Colorado, I never actually laid eyes on one. I went to Atlanta for college years after finding out about it and finally saw one. The giveaways are there's no Quattro badge in the front grille. Yep. And if you go to the exterior, there should have been a 3.7 badge. What someone did on this car is they tried to disguise. I mean, they're not trying to cover it up, but they're like embarrassed about that. So they took out the 3.7 badge, which didn't say Quattro underneath. It just said 3.7, and they switched out the wheels for S wheels. But I always thought that the base wheels were actually kind of charming.
I had no.
This is a front-wheel drive Audi A8. To this day, the A8 platform is a front-wheel drive platform, but obviously they don't sell a front-wheel drive version. And this is a front-wheel drive Audi A8 with the 3.7. It's not a 4.2 car. There were 2 motor options, which also nobody knows. Who knows? Maybe it's
you're joking. How did I never know this?
Maybe it's more reliable.
How much power? 230 horsepower.
It wasn't big power. It was incredibly rare. It was like probably 5% of sales. Obviously, in retrospect, they shouldn't have even offered it. And in subsequent generations, they didn't.
Right.
But in this generation, and I think only for the first couple of years, there was a front-wheel drive Audi A8. And we got one on the site right now. 230
horsepower, 235 500 of torque. First of all, from a V8.
Is
how? And secondly, who...
Those were the
to be fair, for a while, Mercedes-Benz with the S-Class offered a small 6-cylinder.
There wasn't, over the years, I mean, in the W126s, a lot of them had 6 cylinders.
Well, no, I meant in
that generation of S-Class.
There was a 320 that was sold
There was an S320. And so that's probably why Audi did it. They were like, well, they're selling a base model. We'll try a base model too.
Wow.
Front-wheel drive 3.7.
I never knew that.
It's also worth pointing out, by the way, the 97 Audis, go to the interior photo, the 97 Audis didn't have Tiptronic. They only had a straight gearbox. In 98, they switched to Tiptronic, and so the 97s, the A8 came out in 97. The only way you could get a non-Tiptronic A8 was if you got a 97.
Sadly, they didn't want to. Oh, there we go.
Unusual. The A4 came out in 96, and so there were 2 years of no Tiptronic. But this is a really, 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 really uncommon car. I don't consider it to be more valuable, but
it's uncommon.
I saw it come through, and I actually saw it in the thing in the Audi A8 3.7. And I thought to myself, that must be wrong. I haven't seen one of these in so long. There it is.
Wow.
Yeah.
Am I right in saying that the passenger mirror is smaller than the driver mirror, like substantially?
Yeah.
Well,
It looks pretty tiny.
I can't believe this car was in the Northeast, Massachusetts, Windows 10.
I know.
Wow,
Like-
this is crazy.
But with one owner, it's 99.
Why did you buy this and not a four-wheel drive? It was probably $5,000 more for a four-wheel drive and the bigger motor.
With the
Everyone
headlights
did it.
and taillights different, or is that just 97?
I don't think so. I think this is a pre-facelift car, and they facelifted it like 98, 99, something
So
like
they
that.
facelifted it a year later?
D2s are rare to begin with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
it wasn't long before they facelifted it because
For good reason.
the orange side marker was also on the A4s in 96, 97, and 98.
This is
They
such
facelifted that
a
too.
Euro-looking A-class. A8.
A8. But this is a U.S. car that's sold new in the U.S.
Wow.
Pull up the other interesting Euro.
Please go to the R5 Turbo.
A8 R5.
Ooh. Yeah. Oh, look at
I
that.
don't have anything to say. Just like look at
Turbo.
this.
You ever
Dude.
driven one of these?
No.
I never have either.
What an obscure. Yeah, it's a good one to ask.
I grew up
Filippo
in
over here
Europe.
just drive. What if he said yes?
No, but I drove a Clio.
Different.
And it's,
Clio V6
the
truck.
Clio is dangerous.
Yes.
The Clio is so light up front.
Yeah. What do you think this
This
is?
must be even sketchier
Yeah, it's so sketchy.
in a good way.
Look at that. Like the
That's the
rear,
rear.
is just
Look
so
at that.
wide.
That is
the engine is in the back for reasons.
The whole concept of this car is ridiculous out of its mind.
And these bring massive money now.
They're rare. I mean, it's funny because the regular R5 was just a trashy little European hatchback.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then there's the Turbo, which was like a legit
This
car.
is Turbo 2.
Turbo 2.
This is the most legit car that we've ever sold or Kennan has ever seen.
Well, okay, that's
I'm not even
interesting. I have seen them in person. There's
What is with
there's
you?
one. There are two. in
You know
San
what
Diego.
this is? He likes his little European hatchbacks, and this was kind of the final form of the European hatchback. And he likes his obscure cars, and this like it does everything Filippo needs it to do.
Except that it's French.
I'm okay with that.
He loves.
Really?
You know what's weird about this car is the hood is in the trunk.
Yep.
Oh, it's
And
really
I
think
want to
about
be
it.
clear, the hood isn't the trunk. Like in the Lotus Elise, the hood is the trunk. No, there is a trunk.
It's like a spacious trunk
And then
too.
there's a carpet.
If you go to one of the
And then
interior
there's the hood
photos-
is, that's the other thing that's weird. The hood is carpeted. Not a lot of cars you have a carpeted hood, but in this car you do have a carpeted
Well,
hood.
not many hatchbacks do you have a frunk.
That's
fairness,
true.
but-
Look at that's not. If you go to one with that close, that's not a tiny hatchback.
Actually,
without
the top part opens up. In the
both
Clio,
true.
there was a carpeted part, and then there was a part under it as well.
That is so ridiculous.
What do you think is with that hump? Like
Well,
this
go
is
back,
such,
didn't it?
Exhaust.
This is such 1980s French
It's
engineering.
exhaust for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, just wow.
You're lucky they carpeted it, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
What a cool. This closes
some
the day
gum-
this
yeah.
podcast comes out, and it's such a cool car.
Kennan, give us your experience with the M5.
Yes. So Doug had on test, as he alluded to, the G90 M5.
That's what they call it?
New, yes, the Neue
the last one was
M5.
G8?
Yeah. This car, so a lot of talk about how much it weighs. Everybody talks about that it weighs more than the solar system.
Yep.
And that it is not an M5 and da-da-da.
It doesn't weigh more than the Charger EV, which I think is my new benchmark.
Yeah, but American cars can be heavy. German car, it's an M5. It's supposed to be lighter.
Charger EV is mine.
Anyway, so
Also a high watermark, low watermark. I don't know.
So I drove this
Yeah.
car. Perfectly acceptable. I have it is monstrously powerful. I mean, it's just the torque was insane. Like on the highway, you just breathe on it and just like an
Magazine
M5.
reports are that it's slower 0 to 60 in quarter miles than the last one.
Yeah.
The last one was really fast.
He said it, and I'll say it again. All performance cars are the same fast. They might be off by a tenth or even a half. You
My
don't
Fiat.
notice it in the real world in reality.
Your Fiat's not a performance car. Let me tell you something. Let me tell you where this
I
comes
want to
from.
know more about them.
Let me tell you where this comes from. Everybody argues over 0 to 60 times in the 10th of a second. Race. Cars are all the same. They're all the same. I used to drag race. I used to do quarter-mile drag racing for years and years. I did quarter-mile drag race. Probably been to the drag strip 100 times. You know what I learned? Every car's as fast as every other car. I'm not screwing with you. You'd get two cars that were should be pretty far apart. They would end the race like a third of a second apart, and that was kind of that.
Right.
It was like, okay, that one was faster, but in real world applications, that doesn't matter.
Anyway, so the point I'm making about the M5,
Yeah.
is that it does everything an M5 is supposed to do. It's very comfortable on the highway. It handles surprisingly well. It hides its weight very nicely. I've found on tight roads it didn't feel that out of place. It felt like pretty manageable. It's very comfortable. It's nicely put together. I have to admit the lights and the screens are a bit much. Like it's really bright and kind of irritating inside the car.
You need
But
to turn that down.
that's the modern way. And the M5 is, as Harry Metcalf put it, it's the emblematic of how cars are now. That M5 is a modern M5.
Plus, I would say that BMW sells cars to like young, well-kept, dark-haired guys who cheat on their wives. Rich. Do you agree? The M5s, anyway. And
So specific.
but it's kind of right? Like I think, like that's who buys new M5s, right? Am I wrong?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Never owned a new one.
And so I would argue that like the screens and the tech is even part of it too. Like they're on the forefront. These young guys who buy the car want like the latest and greatest stuff.
We've expressed it. If you're a manager, you're coming up, you buy the M3. The boss buys the M5. That was always kind of the way. But it is like a
going
tech
to
thing.
cheat on the a
Well, I'm not putting that
hair.
on
It's a whole
my M5 brethren. But it is a very competent car. Is it necessarily what I want from M5? Not necessarily. It's like I do.
But you're not.
But I'm not. I'm
demo.
Not, right. I'm not the demo.
Right.
Exactly. I'm not the cheating demographic. That's, I suppose. But a very impressive car nonetheless. The torque. I'll be thinking about the torque for a long time.
I think
And
it's
it has
impressive.
the V8
I think also the type of people who buy that car. Everybody online complains. Guys with modern E90s complain. But the type of people who buy that car, they like they like everything
Like
being
the tech.
new and modern. The design is modern and aggressive. The design is fresh and new and cool, etc. And I think that's what people are looking for.
I'm even kind of coming around on the way it looks. It doesn't bother me. I don't love it, but it's like, it's fine. You know,
I like how it looks. I think it's cool.
I think it's fine.
I think the new 5 in general is a really attractive car. And I think in 20 years, people are going to come around to that point. I'm just 20 years early.
As often as the case.
Okay.
But a good car. Thank you for letting me drive it.
Yeah, I'm glad you did drive it. You've now driven every generation of the M5.
I was sure when
That's not true.
Which one haven't you driven?
I haven't driven original E28.
No way.
I haven't driven E34, but I've driven everything.
You drove
subsequently.
E34 M540, right?
You haven't driven
Yes.
an E34?
No.
Well,
Never had the
it's a letdown compared to your car. So, I'll tell you, I loved the E28. Though. I drove an E28 in Altadena the day before that guy bought the winning lottery ticket.
Yeah, I remember.
You know the guy.
Yeah, in Altadena.
It was actually the day of.
Wow.
I was driving.
Even you.
He was buying a lottery ticket at the Shop and Save. I actually broke down in that M5 while I was filming it. So who had the better day?
You're both winners.
You had a real M5 experience, and he won a lottery ticket.
And now he's got a lot of M5 experiences because he's bought all these cars. Was this Edwin Castro? Was that his name? Wasn't it?
I think it's something like that.
Edwin Castro, yeah. You don't know this story?
Can we move on?
He bought like every Porsche.
Yeah, he went to remember when they auctioned all those white
Yeah, of
Porsches?
course.
He went there and bought loads of them.
He bought every Porsche. He went to the dealer, said, I want all the Cayennes.
Well,
They said,
now-
I don't know. They said, all of them.
And of course, we now respect him heavily.
Some people do. Some people only respect people if they have money, and that's the only reason to respect
Or
people.
a lot of Porsches.
Okay, next up, market report. Time for the market report, brought to you by carsandbids.net. Oh, right, .com. Sorry. You got anything else to say about
Yeah,
cars and
you
bids?
can buy or sell your dream car on carsandbids.com.
You can sell your dream
You
car?
can. It would be tragic if you did.
I
but
did it.
maybe you're ready for a new dream.
Maybe
you
you're
can
ready for a new dream.
You can sell your dream car and then buy your new dream car.
Like you dreamed of the 500 at Barth, and now you're selling
I will sell it, and I now dream of the car I bought on the site, which is a GTI.
Was that a dream or more of a nightmare?
Which one?
Okay. The Barth.
No, it's been great.
The GTI, I guess, since you mentioned it.
It's been great.
All right, market report. Filippo, what do you got for
All
us?
right, this past week we sold a B8 S4.
B8
That's an
S4.
Audi S4.
Yes.
It was a really nice, right? Stick, red interior, sport differential. It also went.
8.5.
Yep.
It also went for what I thought, based on looking at some comps, was a really strong number.
Yep.
And it makes me wonder if people are finally recognizing that, like, here is a really great driver sports sedans.
Yep.
For a long time, the Audi sports cars, especially the ones based on regular cars, have not gotten much love. They're just depreciating German luxury cars. But maybe the special ones are starting to get appreciation in the same way that an M3 or a C63 does. And here's one with a stick that did really well.
Yeah, this is an unusual situation, though. This car has sport differential from the factory and it had a manual.
Yeah.
I agree with you. The B8s are possibly in the right situation, getting a little bit of recognition. But this particular car was a really desirable one. It had pretty low miles. 62,000 miles is low. A lot of these cars get driven hard. And the sticks are rare. The B8 sticks are rare.
And B8.5 is especially rare. But
I think if you're going to get one, this is one to have. It's also a pretty cleanly modified car, already titled in California.
Yep.
It's got some nice, if you're interested in mods, it's got some nice. I agree with you. The number was strong for this car.
And the comments agreed, but also like it makes sense.
But it is a find another type car. B8 S4s with a sticker not around.
It gives me hope that people, I think they're really cool cars. I think they're a great actual fun sports sedan that was a little underappreciated. It gives me hope that people are recognizing them.
The B5, B6, and B7 S4 has never really been beloved by the market.
Nope.
We got a B6 here in the office. It's actually behind this X3. I don't know if you can see the X3. It's camouflaged. It's stealth.
Matte
Very
black.
dark. Yeah.
It's stealth. And we got a B6 S4 back there. And
What a car.
it's so good. I have fallen in love with the B6 Audi S4.
I always wanted one. When I was
You
young.
driven that one yet?
No, I got to find a video to make that.
Drive the car. It's your car, but B6ier.
Ooh.
Which is to say, worse. But you know, the engine's mounted in front of the front wheels, which is not great. And it's not, and the engine grenades.
But it's so cool. Well, yeah, so it blows up. I mean,
whose engine doesn't, you know? I've always liked them. I always thought there is a group of people who appreciate them. And when I see a B5 S4, I am like, I have incredible respect for the person who owns that, because to go through that pain for that cool of a car is really impressive.
Right.
And to see a nice one now is unheard of. And the same thing sort of applies to the B6. The B7 S4 is awesome, but the B7 RS4 exists, and so everybody would rather have that. That's a really, really special car.
Plus, the timing chain issues didn't affect the B7, and in my in my mind, if you're not living on the edge, like the B6 is, like any moment you could start that car and need a motor. Then what are you really doing? Okay. Next one is manual Cayenne. Can you pull up this manual Cayenne?
That was wild.
Talk about cars that bring money. Kennan's been looking for a Cayenne.
Yeah,
and,
I'm still on it.
Kennan's been looking for a Cayenne. It's this one here. And we've been looking at turbos, and they're like 20.
Yeah, you can get a D. They're hard to find with great options.
But 20, 25.
But yeah, 20, 25, 30 in that range.
This manual comes up, a 6-cylinder, black, pretty basic car, convenience package, pretty basic car. And it sells for $33,500 with miles. It was like $87,000.
To go back a page.
To keep that in perspective, we just sold a Turbo S.
Yeah.
For $32,500.
It's the same model year, by the way. It's actually a newer car. What is the mileage on the Turbo S?
Turbo S
93. Same miles. So for the same money, you could have a Turbo S. This is 550 horsepower, and I'm sure it has crazy options because they all did.
Yeah,
Or you could have a 6-cylinder stick, base car, Nicki Minaj, same money.
Or a 4-year newer GTS.
No, we
for $3
ignore
grand
that.
less.
It's got a V6.
That's a good point, actually. But that's a facelift car. That's the
10%
next body.
less.
Yeah, V6 anyway.
Nice body.
This is a V6.
Yeah,
So if you've
that's
already gotten yourself in a V6 mindset, you could have. I mean, it's crazy what these manuals go for.
I think I'd rather have.
No,
I mean, the manuals
for life
is cool, but it's like. I've been told they're not very good to drive. Like, you don't really want that.
They're not sporty manuals, but it's still a manual.
And it's cool. I mean, in the Porsche world, listen. The cars, the 911s and Boxsters that are turquoise over turquoise are ugly. But they're big money because they're cool. And it's the same here. Yeah, it's not the best to drive. He's tuned me out.
Well, I want to see that Boxster. We sold one that was
We sold more than one, yeah.
He's going to check 100. He's going to go through 150 listings. My point is, in the Porsche world, people don't care as much about whether it's actually good and more about whether the perception of it being interesting.
And it is interesting.
That's what sells in the Porsche world. This sold for 19 grand. It's a base Boxster with miles,
Which is
19
12 or
grand.
13,000.
But it was green. It was turquoise on turquoise with a turquoise parking brake handle, and you ain't gonna find that again.
The manual Cayennes always bring money. During the peak of COVID, we sold some for really quite astronomical numbers.
Yeah.
No, I mean, look, it is an incredibly cool car. Would I take a Turbo S over it?
You know what's surprising though?
Well, you say duh, but I think that a lot of people would disagree. Turbo S is just a car that like a rich dude buys and it depreciates and whatever. Yeah. A manual Cayenne is like a special car.
New.
I mean,
who bought the manuals new? It was crazy, people. I remember it. I was there. It was crazy, people.
I want an automatic. I want 500 to 550 horsepower, and that's comfort. That's what I want.
It depends what you want out of your Cayenne. You want a car that is a usable, practical luxury SUV that you can drive fast.
Yes.
This person wants a car they can throw around the corners and drop a gear.
No, they don't care about that. They want to just shift gears. They want to do something with their hands.
They want to sit with their hands.
Can I? Okay, I do.
They.
I do have a question. Zoom back out. Because manual second-gen Cayennes, which is what we'll call it, are way more desirable than GTSs from the first gen. Scroll back up. We have a first-gen GTS live right now with a stick. Because in the first-gen Cayenne, the GTS was the only one available with a stick. And it has a V8.
That's not true. There was a 6-cylinder.
Yeah.
You will never see them.
They're very rare, and
rarer than
they are
second-gen.
not. They are not viewed with the same belovedness as the second-gen.
Why? In my mind, a V8 powered Cayenne with a stick should be more and sporty pretensions should be more desirable than the V6 second gen.
Yeah,
and they're desirable. This is a higher mile one for 817.
These still bring money. Low mile ones of these still bring money.
But about the
I
same
agree
money.
with you, the prices are too close.
Very similar.
Yeah, especially because the V8, even though it was the first gen, had a lot more power too. It was 420 horse versus 300.
Yeah. We have 7 Cayennes live right now.
7 Cayennes, dude. This is Cayenne Clearinghouse. And you know what? I don't even mind. Cayennes are great, and they're great deals, and they're great cars to buy. We bought one.
We did.
Yep.
We're going to sell it soon.
We're going to sell it very soon.
Okay, it's time for the questions. The questions are brought to you by Kennan. Kennan, he answers your questions.
I do.
The questions this week were interesting. Okay. Oh, first, let me tell you how to do them. You go to carsandbids.com, you know the website? You click on the community tab, and then there's a post there that says, like, hey, let's answer your questions. Filippo, you see this? Look at that. That is your dream.
They're off the market. How sad.
That is your dream. Anyway, there's a post with the questions. That's where you answer questions. Now, this week we got a bunch of questions. The best questions were not the top ones. I'm going to breeze through a couple toppies, and then we're going to go on to the Grady's.
Do it.
There's a Grady for you coming.
Oh, man. I'm braced for impact.
Okay, question from Mr. B, Sean B. Doug, I really missed the more Doug videos, like the Vegas hotel room tour, etc. Can you open a Google spreadsheet with the unlisted video links? Yeah, I guess. I don't know. Can we do that? He looked at me. He doesn't like me.
Producers.
It's like 5 o'clock. He's done. Maybe. I don't know. Find the link somewhere else. Which ones do you like best? We'll open those.
Right now, I will say they're all private for a bunch of like channel related reasons.
They're unlisted, aren't they?
It doesn't matter. We have to do a bunch of things to have the channels work the way we wanted them to. We can consider.
We'll talk about it.
I do the house tours and the hotel room tour I'm particularly fond of because that was when I started at Cars and Bids. You called me when you were driving there and then driving back. That was you reviewed that day.
That's true. I remember that
like
call.
A week later, and then COVID happened.
I was on the Vegas Strip.
Wow.
Yeah, had to have $1 million line of credit to have that hotel room.
Next question, also from Mr. B. Sean B. Doug, you say the company is no longer yours since you sold it. I assume you still have a considerable amount of shares. What about a decision where the higher-ups make decisions you disagree with out of your control? How would you handle it? The ownership structure is weird because, I do have a lot of shares, and I'm also like the face. Like, look at me.
Yeah, that's your face.
So it's weird that I'm a minority, but also like the person.
We'll get out a beard.
And so but the thing about it is I'm not a business person. Everybody blames me for everything that happens on Cars and Bids, but like I don't know what the hell's going on. I make YouTube videos as a profession. It's what I do. When the investors came and said, "Hey, we're gonna buy this thing," I was like, "Oh my God! Thank God somebody's gonna do this because I can't anymore." I really, really, truly mean that. There are decisions that are made here every day that I'm in awe of. That I like wouldn't have done myself, and that I'm surprised by. And some of them don't work, and some of them do work. But regardless, like I wouldn't have taken this to where it is now. And so I try to leave my hands off for the executives and the investors to govern. And that's kind of that. Next question. From Big Ultima Hater 6, which car offers the most exotic and beautiful looks for the money? In other words, which car provides the best looks per dollar value?
I have thoughts on that one.
Vantage, V8 Vantage.
V8 Vantage is very good. You mean sports cars specifically or
Anything.
Car?
You're talking Cayenne now.
No, the Cayenne's a very good looking car. You won't like this.
Uh-oh.
You won't like this either.
You're going to say Gran Turismo?
Nope.
It's going to be an E39 M5.
The Fisker Karma, in my mind, is an extraordinarily attractive car, and they're pretty inexpensive. This was a nice one, sold for $36,600, but you can get them for $17,000, $13,000.
The problem that I have,
I think they're really pretty.
when I see one, I think, like, orphaned brand, laughable car, barely keeping it on the road. Like, this is the DeLorean of the modern era. Now, DeLoreans are cool now, but there was a long time where people thought...
when I look at it, I remember in 2012, I came to San Diego for the very first time, and Fisker was a brand that existed. They had a showroom in San Diego, and I went and had pictures in the Fisker showroom.
But if I saw,
spectacular.
So they're cool at the time,
right? But as they've aged, I still think they're cool. And they had the plug-in hybrid idea. It was good. It was a good idea. It was a little bit ahead of its time because now it's the norm.
Well, and they used the GM EcoTech engine.
Right now they're great.
Chevy Cobalt powered.
But I think they are, especially that rear haunch. I just think it is extraordinarily
It's
beautiful.
a striking car. Is it a beautiful car? I don't know.
I think it's beautiful. But V8 Vantage
is that color?
I just think. Well, they put glass in their paint as their metallic, which is why it's so
Great.
poppy.
I agree that this car is pretty cool, but I don't think it's the most. An Aston Martin is an Aston Martin.
Another one you'll disagree with, but the Maserati Gran
How about one of those old Rollses?
Oh,
like
One of them.
is that a beautiful car? It's a stately car. Is it a beautiful car?
Well, it says exotic and beautiful.
it's
You drive around one of
stately.
those. I was filming that today, and everybody's staring at me. And I'm
Well,
like,
the same is true if you're driving a G-Wagon.
Well, if
on
beautiful and exotic
questionable
looks are
wheels.
what you want,
This is a good one.
Gran Turismo is the one. You hate
don't
the way
like
it
how it
looks,
looks.
but you're wrong about
I think it's
it.
ugly, but I do think it looks exotic, and people
It
are
does look
attracted
exotic.
to it.
Okay,
Look at that.
I can agree.
That is a beautiful car. And for $15,000, I mean, that's more value than the Aston.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, that is an exotic-looking car, even if it's
Aston's better.
I would, in a heartbeat, take the Aston over this, but nonetheless, that is a beautiful car. Our producer had one of his friends who's a non-car person, saw a Gran Turismo, modded one with some, lip broken off, and took a selfie because she was like, "Oh, it's a Maserati." It's like normal car people still have that, or normal non-car people still have that reaction.
Okay, I agree with all those. Do you have any?
Jaguar XK.
Yeah, that's a good one. It is beautiful. People think it's expensive. It is not.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those are
I mean,
12.
that's a $13,000 car.
$13,000.
That is a beautiful car.
That's a
for that.
gorgeous car.
Oh, I totally
wow! I didn't realize it was that cheap.
I think you can get them for 10.
I mean,
Get an 07. Find
Yeah.
an 07. I bet they're 10.
But there's
Here's
none.
an 07 15. Keep going.
Wow.
Find it. Find it.
Just go for the cheapest price.
No.
Lowest price.
Oh, yeah, lowest prices. Not lowest,
Oh
lowest
no,
price.
10.
There you go.
Well,
The cheapest ones are 10, 11, 12.
Wow, that is I did not know they were
that's
that
a
cheap.
beautiful
That's
car for that. price.
crazy.
You know, in 07, they had the antenna. You remember this?
No.
Click on that one, 07. 07, Jag hadn't figured out how to do the antenna yet.
Oh, you're right. They did.
So in only 07, they had
Wow.
an antenna off the back.
I want-
which screwed up the whole look of the car.
Yeah, it's
beautiful
so
design.
How
They
good or
didn't
bad
figure out
is
how to
it?
bury the antenna in the windshield like everybody else, or put the aerial on the center.
I can't.
Do you want one of these?
How good or bad are they?
I don't know.
They're not sports cars, but
They get
Gran
miled
Turismo.
up. We get them submitted. How many miles does this thing have? They get submitted with some miles, but don't they have that AJ V8 that's problematic that was in all the Range Rovers?
Probably.
Although with 07, it doesn't. It has the V8 that was in my Range Rover that was really reliable.
110,000 miles.
Your next car.
Interesting.
That is appealing.
Yep. Okay. Here are some great ones. There's some great questions this week, some of the very best. Don't look at them. Don't look at them ahead of time.
I apologize.
Be surprised.
He cheats
From
again.
Ranger22445, can you share the YouTube analytics for the Grand National video after the Kendrick Lamar song released? He actually means after the Super Bowl halftime. Because Kendrick Lamar has already been all Grand Nationally. He had an album entitled GNX where the GNX was on the cover. Okay, I looked. And you want to know something? No effect. There was a slight effect. So it went from maybe 800 views per hour to 1,000. Not huge. But you know what I noticed? If you look at them, in December, it spiked to 22,000 views per hour.
Maybe that's when the album
Maybe the album came out that. What the hell? So the spike for the Super Bowl was this to this, but the spike in December was way up here. Who's looking at Grand National content back?
Plus, we should have titled that video GNX, even though it wasn't a GNX, just to get the clicks.
Just to get the clicks. That's so true, honestly.
I'm going to add GNX to the search for terms. No, I won't actually.
Okay, from Oh Yes Yes, Kennan, this one's for you and all of us except him. Can you rank the mid-engine V8 Ferrari cars from least to most favorite? Okay.
Okay, so we're assuming is the 308 GT4 included?
No,
in this?
I think
Just the two
308.
series. 308 through F8.
Oh, okay. Wow.
We said V8.
Well, yeah, no, but the 2.9. Okay, fine. You don't have to put the
2.96
2.96 in there.
6
I know,
cylinders.
but in purity, it's the okay. Fine.
Well, but he said 8 cylinders. He wants to know. He doesn't think that it qualifies.
That's a good point. So 308, 328. I'm gonna write them down here. So we
Yep,
know.
348,
308, 328,
F355,
348, 355, 360, 430,
F430,
458,
488,
488, and F8.
F8.
Okay. So
I've driven.
We agree the worst is the 348, which is not a negative on the 348, but it's the worst of it.
I will track these for you.
I don't know if it's quite the. I mean, because like a 2-valve 308, like the one the GTSI that you drove.
That car was amazing.
Yeah, but it's.
You're going to throw the 308 under the bus, that wedgie car?
But that's the problem, because like the QV is amazing, the Verde Resina is great, and the GTSI is fun.
I think 348 goes first because it was
worst.
It was unreliable. It was not particularly attractive. The interior's not great. It's not fast.
It has attributes that are good.
It does. Steering, it has great steering.
Way better than the 355.
It's pretty quick.
It's good looking. I think it's of its time. I think it looks really.
But the 308 looks better.
308 is prettier. 348 is more striking, I think.
Oh, that's crazy. The wedge 308. The 308's a wedge.
The 348 is a wedge.
I can tell them apart.
If he saw those two cars, he'd have no clue what he's looking at. He'd look at the 308 and be like, "Oh, a Countach." I'm telling you.
So your least favorite? Is
No,
what?
I think that I love the way 348 like a late one, an early
Okay, but
one.
we agree 308 and 348 are the worst two, right?
Yes. Oh, I'm not going to count the 208, the 208 Turbo.
No, I'm not going to count the 208. Okay, so 308 and 348 are the worst two, right?
I'm doing the opposite.
I don't know.
I got this for you, Doug.
Okay, so
I don't know
308
if you're going to go. I don't like the 488 at all. To be honest with you, the 488 feels like a normal car that you would just use. It is. There's nothing exciting about it. There's nothing. It's not thrilling.
Yikes.
It's.
What do we think?
458 looks better.
What do we think's the best?
355. I don't know.
Looks the best
We're
or
never
is
gonna
the
agree
best?
on
Because that's a
No,
questionable
I mean,
thing.
but then the problem is like you mean because like
Best.
the 360
Favorite
the
is
Challenge
the question.
Stradale exists, but if I compare a Challenge Stradale to a 308, it's
No,
like,
I think
you
I
mean
think
just
the
the base
car
car
has to be like the normal
the
one.
base car.
Yeah, like because we could also put the 360, the windshieldless 360 that they gave to Luca as a wedding present,
Barchetta.
and that would win. Obviously, it'd be number one. Yeah,
There's also your favorite. What is your favorite? I think we may have to move on, but what's your favorite?
the windshield of
the normal
360.
ones.
No, we're not going to move on. We're going to get to this. I'll tell you. I'm going to look at them right now. I'm going to tell you. Here's the order. Number one,
That's worst or better?
best.
Best.
430
430.
is the best.
Better than the 458.
Number two, 458. It had a stick, dude. It had a stick.
Well,
458
the
sure
base
did.
car.
Well, I don't know. I'm
technically
talking
did.
about generally it had a stick. 430.
It generally 7% of them have sticks. They're like 12 in the world. It did
Number
not,
one,
no, that is outrageous.
430 because the stick was available. No, I'm talking about the car in general. 430. Has
Yes, in general they were F1s. It's an F1 car.
Number
it's
two.
an F1 car.
No, but it's available. It's at 430. Number two, 458.
Yeah. Okay.
Number three, 355.
Okay.
Number four, F8.
Wow.
Jeez.
Number
Nope.
five, 360. Number six, 328. Number seven, 488. Number eight, 308. Number nine, 348. Boom, I did it. Dude, it's hard. They're all good.
They are. That is true. They are all good. I just don't like. I don't like the F8. I don't like.
Fine.
The
So give us
488.
your list, order best to worst. Bam it up.
It's really hard to think. That's really hard.
Look, dude, there are 9 cars. Just go for it.
This is hypothetical again, Kennan.
I know, but it's really hard. I think that I still think the F355 reigns supreme. Like it is more of a Ferrari driving experience than the other ones. Like the
355
is
the
exciting
steering
at
that
all
you hate,
speeds.
and the car you decided to sell after owning it for 9 months.
355
Yeah, and I still
Over
because
430
guess
and
what?
458?
After all of that pain, I still want one.
355, you over 430 and 458? 355 over 430?
Let me ask you a question. They were both parked in a parking lot. Which one would you go look at
I
first?
would look at a 355. It's the most beautiful. There's no question. Except maybe 458. It's the most beautiful.
I guess the question was my opinion on the
Your
best.
favorite.
My favorite.
Your
That's
favorite
different.
is a question.
No. Yeah, least to most favorite.
Favorite.
But it should be best.
So
I ranked it by best.
F355 is my favorite. I think that the
You gotta go 430. 430, 458. Just say 458,
it's one of the
430.
two.
Choose an order of those two. then
He's
move
going
on.
to say like 348 now.
No,
Because it was a
he's not gonna
precursor
do
to
that.
355.
no,
and
'cause
therefore it's favorite.
all the wedge cars I like way more than the stuff that came later. But I do
328 should be up there then.
I
'Cause that's the one.
I think the 328 is probably third. But I think that I think the 430 would probably be second. I'd
Okay.
rather have that than a 458.
Okay.
Probably the 328/308. They are
I can
very,
put them
very
one next to each
similar
other.
cars.
Great.
The then I would say probably the 458 after that.
Oh, wow.
The Port 360 is
308
really
over
mighty
the
down.
458.
What?
You got the 308 over the 458.
I'd way rather have. I think to own, I'd way rather have a 308.
Really?
308 is
He's gonna go for a
so
Mondial
cool.
next. I
Lights
know it
go
doesn't
up,
fit the category,
honks,
but-
the horn goes beep, and it's just, and they were all manuals. 100% of them are manuals, not 7% with your 430s. I think 458.
Then you're stuck on F8, 488, 360, and 348.
I think probably you're not gonna like this, but it's probably say 360,
Yeah.
then F8, then 488. No, yeah, F8, then 488 at the bottom.
Well, then 348.
Oh, then 348 at the bottom.
348 at the bottom.
Yeah, I think
You guys are aligned on
I
like,
barely put it above
two
50.
things. You're aligned to the 348 is the worst,
Yeah.
and that is it.
No, we're aligned on some more than that. 360's in basically the same spot for
Yeah.
both of us, kind of mid-pack. 430's near the top for both of us.
I
love
the
355. 355 is number 3 for me, number 1 for you. I love it too. I think it's great.
I think, yep.
That's a tough one. They're all good. It's different from 911s where it'd be very easy. Okay, next question from AWGRBR. This is our last good one, our last question, and it's a very good one. You leave that up for the rest of it.
Yeah, thank you.
Agreed.
What car do you consider to be the baseline for special enough to take out your phone and snap a picture? I recently saw a Sterrato on the road, and as an adult man, I felt silly for snapping a pic. But there are definitely cars I would. Where is your line? First off, I would snap a pic of every Sterrato. I'd snap a pic of everything. I took a pic yesterday. What was it?
You don't send me these?
I got to send it to you. It was something. It was an
You
XM, and I was in the Courage GT.
You don't send me
With a template, and I wanted to be like,
Last time I saw an XM, which was also with a template, I took a picture. Send it to you. I'm offended.
well, I apologize. I
you.
send if I see a Dodge Stealth, I saw SVT Contour, and I was in the Courage GT, and I took a picture.
Yeah,
Nobody in our group chat, by the way, seemed to care about my SVT Contour sighting.
I'll be honest, blew right past it, didn't even
You wanted horse.
I do like it. We talked about the SVT.
I agree that one was a little borderline.
No, it's a stick.
I will often take a picture or ask my wife to take a picture, and she'll be like, "Oh, why is that special?" Like, I'm not going to bother explaining why this
Right.
Buick Skylark is special.
Right. Oh, if you saw a Skylark.
Right.
Yep. I had a buddy who had a
So
turbo.
my that's all to say that
Not
my
an original
line is
one.
low.
No, the 90s one.
Yeah.
Right, he would think that the original one was a 20s car. Filippo has a cutoff for all old cars, like built in the
1981.
before 1981 or
Yeah.
built in the 20s.
So my line is real low and peculiar. So I can't answer the question.
I will take a picture of a car if I know it's important to somebody who I know, like a friend of mine. Like if that I would do.
Yeah.
Like for you, I might not. I don't know if I'd take a picture of an Abarth for you because
I wouldn't hope that you do.
But if I saw I don't know. If I saw someone imported a Panda and I would take a picture. Concourse
better also leave
Italiano,
them the
I took
phone
that
number.
picture of that Panda 4x4.
Yeah, you better leave them my phone number next time.
Because I knew he'd like it.
I take pictures of everything. I love seeing the vehicles.
Stuff in context.
Yeah, I'm a press photographer and I take pictures of everything, and I really enjoy seeing the pictures. I love sending the pictures. I take pictures for the right people, and that's that.
Are you?
Okay, we will move on. That's the end of our segment today. Unless Kennan has any parting thoughts for us. Kennan? 355.
Yeah.
Rosso
Gorgeous
Rubino.
car.
That's Rosso Barchetta.
Filippo,
Rosso Barchetta.
you got any thoughts for us?
Panda 4x4.
Panda 4x4 is your thought. My
Imagine
thought
a
is
Panda 4x4 squared. Now that I think about it.
Oh, wow.
Portal
axles.
axle. Somebody's done one. I have no doubt.
dude, that would be legit. Yeah, there are guys in Italy right now wearing suspenders and no shirt who have one of those. You know what I'm talking about.
Feels a little race.
If you have Panda portal axle,
No, dude, these are the hill folk. Filippo knows exactly what I'm talking about.
I didn't say no.
Look at that. Oh, wow.
That's useful, Filippo. Should turn this.
No.
All right.
We'll
That is for
overlay
you.
it. Okay, everyone. Thank you so much for watching, for participating, honestly, for sending us your questions, which
Thank
were
you.
excellent this week.
The most chaotic podcast yet.
It was the best podcast we've ever done, thanks primarily to Filippo and Kennan.
Thank you, and to you, Doug.
Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.